Roald Dahl, a popular children's author with a dark side. Dahl's books often appear on lists of the best children's books. However, there have been complaints about racial stereotypes in his books. For example, the Oompa Loompas are short, funny characters in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They were first described as black pygmies from the African jungle. Pygmy peoples are known for being very short. This was changed in later editions of the book. In other books, some characters are described as fat, ugly, and having other negative features. It was in interviews, however, that Dahl expressed strong anti-Semitic views. He once said that Adolf Hitler had reasons for killing 6 million Jews in World War II because something in the Jewish character provoked animosity. In 2020, Dahl's family apologized for his anti-Semitic views. 3 years later, Puffin Books, Dahl's main publisher, released new editions of Dahl's books with many negative words removed or changed. Not everyone approved of this decision. Puffin Books responded by saying the changes were necessary and that the old text would still be available. Although Dahl's life is controversial, his creative stories continue to interest millions of readers globally.
Hello everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Chickling.
And we've been learning about Roald Dahl and his life and how he wrote all these wonderful children's stories, but we learned a bit of his dark side as well. Like, we learned he had like a quite difficult childhood growing up, and it was very difficult for him to trust adults because he was beaten before by his school principal.
Yeah.
Poor thing. His father and older sister died when he was quite young. And, but yeah, he grew up and he kind of did cool things. Like he did join the Royal Air Force during World War II, which is, very admirable. But behind closed doors in his family life, he wasn't a great man, I would say, a great husband because he cheated on his wife.
Right.
Yeah, not good. But those weren't the only, misfortunate things that happened to him.
Right.
His wife had a stroke. Some of his children died, right?
Yeah.
So it was not a very happy life for him, but yeah, he was able to still give us great stories.
At least he did something great.
He made great contributions, I think, to society. Right. But this is where it gets conflicting, right? Like he does great things, but behind closed doors, maybe he's not so much of a great person, which we're also going to find out more as well in today's article. So let's take a look. It says here, Dahl's books often appear on lists of the best children's books. Definitely. It's always like, top 20, top 50 books children must read.
所以他常常都在出现在最佳童书的排行榜上。他写的东西真的太好了。
Next it says, however, there have been complaints about racial stereotypes in his books. Oh no, this is like where I think it gets really tricky. Okay, but first of all, let's take a look at the word complaint. Complaint or complaints, it's a noun and it means a reason for not being satisfied. And it's a statement that somebody makes saying that they are not satisfied or not happy. So yeah, I would say like, maybe small complaints can be things like, why is my McDonald's fries so cold or something like that. It's too salty. Those are small things. But some of like serious things, like maybe you have a cockroach in your soup or something from a restaurant.
Oh my goodness.
That would be a more like serious complaint. But yeah, overall, I would say the general rule is, like for me, I will only make a complaint if something is extremely bad or serious. And we shouldn't be, like Chinese, we call it 奥客, right?
对, difficult customers.
Yeah, we shouldn't make complaints about small things and things like that. But anyways, we can use complaint in a sentence like this. We made many complaints about our neighbors playing music too loud at night.
So complaint 就是抱怨或投诉的意思。那提出投诉，我们就像刚刚讲 you make a complaint about something. 比如说 he decided to make a complaint about the loud noise coming from the construction site. 这是很常出现你会投诉的事情。或 complain 就是它的动词哦。Say complain about something 就是抱怨什么事。不过有一些人是有抱怨过批评说达尔的书都其实带着有种族刻板印象。
So Here, when we talk about racial, it's an adjective and it means happening or existing between people of different races or something related to one's race. For example, we can say the organization works to raise awareness about the impact of racial hatred. Okay, so when we talk about race, we're talking about people like of maybe Taiwanese race or Chinese race, Japanese race, things like that. It's a little bit, I really want to quickly explain the difference between like stereotypes and prejudice, because stereotype is a general belief about a particular group of people or a category of people. So these are, things like, oh, Asians are good at math, or girls aren't as strong as boys, or boys are better at sports than girls, things like that. Those are stereotypes. It doesn't always have to be about race. It can also be about gender as well. But a prejudice, okay, here, it's a preconceived opinion that is not based on fact. It's like an opinion you already have and you don't have any like fact or evidence or reason to explain it or to like have evidence to show why. So it's a dislike of something without even a good reason. So for example, you might just not like blah, blah, blah race or blah, blah, blah type of people for no reason at all. Now, both aren't good feelings to have, although I believe like stereotypes can be a little less harmful. But, of course, sometimes these assumptions can hurt people as well, and they can cause too much unnecessary hate in this world. So these are not very good things to have, I believe.
所以我们出现的 racial 这是种族间的，所以 racial discrimination 就是种族歧视。那么 race 就是它的名词，代表种族的意思。那我们造一个句子 The government is working hard to eliminate racial discrimination in the workplace. 所以在工作场合上常常会有种族歧视，政府试着要把这个事情消除。那么 stereotype 就是刻板印象的意思。
So people complained before that Roald Dahl has written about racial stereotypes before in his book. Let's take a look at an example then. We can think if for ourselves. It says, for example, the Oompa Loompas are short, funny characters in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know if you remember.
I think I remember,
in
yes.
the movie, they're like the orange little people.
所以呢，例如查理与巧克力工厂中的翁帕伦帕人，他们是一群身形矮小又很风趣的角色。
They were very funny. But here it says, they were first described as black pygmies from blah, 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 the African jungle. Okay, so in the original stories, they were written like that. Okay, I can kind of see why people believe why it's, a racial stereotype. Here, let's take a look at the word jungle. Jungle is a noun and it's an area of tropical forest where trees and plants grow very thickly. For example, we can say it was difficult for the soldiers to fight in the jungle because of the humidity and dangerous animals.
So pygmy 就是皮美人的意思，它是来自于中非或者是东南亚一带的黑矮人。那么 jungle 就是丛林，我们在丛林中就是 in the jungle。比如说 they were lost in the jungle for hours before they finally found their way out.
Here it says pygmy peoples are known for being very short. This was changed in later editions of the book. Now, what did they do? They basically released new editions of the books. Now, an edition is a noun and it means a version of a book or other text that is regularly revised, okay? For example, we can say many students are required to use the latest edition of the biology textbook. It means that it's the newest and that maybe there's some things changed and it goes along with, modern day things, basically.
那么 edition 就是版本，所以特别版我们可以说 special edition。比如说 The book was released in a special edition to celebrate its 10th anniversary.
So yeah, I think also as well, like we might hear right now there's Moo Dang. He's like a very famous pygmy hippo. He's a very small hippo because I believe he has very short legs. That's why people think he's very cute or like he's a very popular thing now. So yeah, it's not a great way to describe people in stories.
所以皮美人呢以身材矮小闻名的族群，但是呢他们这些描述啊在后来的版本中都被修改了。
It says here, in other books, some characters are described as fat, ugly, and having other negative features.
Okay. 所以在其他书中呢，达尔也曾经用了肥胖啦、丑陋这些带有负面特征词语来形容某一些角色哦。
But I think as well, remember, Roald Dahl wrote this in like the 1940s or something. And maybe at that time, the language or the way written, it was fine. But, of course, nowadays we're like, that's not a good thing to say, right? So, yeah, luckily, and I think in other editions, they kind of changed some of the words around. Okay, but here, the next part of the article says, it was in interviews, however, that Dahl expressed strong anti-Semitic views. Okay, this one's kind of bad because when you're anti-Semitic, it means there's negative or hurtful things said about Jewish people, which is, of course, like a huge no-no because, especially since World War II and what happened to the Jewish people. And, we all know about Hitler. It's definitely a big no to say things like that. It's a super sensitive topic. So, yeah, that's not a very good thing because people automatically kind of think, maybe you're a Nazi? Yeah.
我们这边看到呢，今天的 Language in Focus, let's take a look. 所以呢，我们要看到如果我们要强调句子中某个特定的部分，我们可以说 it was or it is something blah blah that。我们把它强调的东西放在 be 动词后面 that 的前面，我们再把其余的部分放在 that 之后。所以这个句型中 it 是虚主词哦，它本身是没有任何意义的。作用呢是将句子的结构改变。那么被强调的部分可以是主词、受词、时间、地点等等。我们来造几个句子就会很清楚。如果你要强调主词，比如说 the scenery made the hike unforgettable， 但是你要强调 the scenery, right？ 所以我们就变成 it was the scenery that made the hike unforgettable。 所以我们就 it was， 我们就讲要强调那个。可是如果今天你要强调受词，比如说 he left the red sweater at my house， 那你要强调这个红色的毛衣，所以就会变成 it was the red sweater that he left at my house。 强调时间的话呢，比如说 everyone started leaving not long after the meeting ended， 所以你要强调什么时候，所以 it was not long after the meeting ended that everyone started leaving。 所以呢，我们在课文中就知道，其实达尔这个人蛮极端，真的蛮不好的。达尔在访谈中表达更强烈的反犹观点哦，所以就是仇恨犹太人、反犹太人的意思。
Here it says, he once said that Adolf Hitler had reasons for killing 6 million Jews in World War II because something in the Jewish character provoked animosity. Ooh, not a very nice thing to say.
Right.
Yeah, it's really bad. Okay. Because here, he said something. First of all, he said there's a reason why a lot of Jewish people died. That's really bad. And then he also said something about Jewish people. He said they provoked animosity. When you provoke someone, it means to cause a particular reaction or to have a particular effect. Animosity means a strong feeling of opposition, anger, or hate. So he's basically saying there's something about Jewish people that makes you want to dislike them or maybe even feel angry about them or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of a crazy thing to say, I think.
所以 provoke 就是激发 animosity 仇恨。所以他竟然说他曾经说过希特勒在二战中杀害600万犹太人是有原因的，因为犹太人的性格激起了大家的敌意。
My goodness. Okay. But here in the article says, in 2020, Dahl's family apologized for his anti-Semitic views. Okay. When you apologize for something, it's a verb and it means to say sorry. For example, we can say, after losing mom's favorite earrings, I apologized to her and bought her a new pair to make up for my mistake.
所以呢 apologize 就是道歉。 You can apologize for something that you did, apologize for doing something 都 OK。 比如说 she had to apologize for being late to the meeting， 那名词就是 apology。 比如说我欠你一个道歉， I really owe you an apology。 所以2020年的时候，达尔的家人就有替他的反犹言论道歉。
Then it says here, 3 years later, Puffin Books, Dahl's main publisher, released new editions of Dahl's books with many negative words removed or changed. Okay, so that's good. A publisher is basically a person who publishes or prints books and magazines.
OK， 所以呢 publisher 就是出版商，正好记啊，你就 publish 后面加 er。 所以3年之后呢，达尔的主要出版社 Puffin Books 发布了新版的达尔作品，他们就把很多负面的字词都尽情的删改。
Here it says, not everyone approved of this decision. Puffin Books responded by saying the changes were necessary and that the old texts would still be available. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Like if you don't want to see any like negative or mean things, and you can buy the new version, like for now kids to read. But if you are okay with it, then there's still the old ones available, right?
但其实不是每个人都很支持这个决定哦，所以对此呢 Puffin Books 表示这些改动必须是必要的，但是呢原版书还是会保留发行。
Here it says, although Dahl's life is controversial, his creative stories continue to interest millions of readers globally. Yeah, I totally agree. When something is controversial, it means to cause a lot of anger or public disagreement. For example, sometimes talking about politics can be a controversial topic because everybody has their opinions and some people might feel very strongly about them. So yeah, Dahl definitely was a very controversial person. He had great stories, but he said a lot of, are you sure you want to see that? Those kind of things. But people still enjoy his stories globally. Globally here is an adverb, and it means in a way that covers or affects the whole world, something around the whole globe. For example, we can say the company plans to globally tackle the problem of safe and clean drinking water for all.
所以 controversial 就是有争议的意思，那么 globally 就是全世界的，在全球。那我们把 ly 拿掉就会变成形容词，超好记的 global。比如说 the global economy 就是全世界的经济 has been significantly impacted by recent events， 是被最近的事件一定都会经济都会被影响嘛，互相牵连的。或者是我们常常会听到 global warming， 这是全球暖化的意思。比如说 global warming has led to rising sea levels and extreme weather patterns。 所以我们知道达尔的人生是争议不断的，但是他富有创意的故事还是吸引全球数百万的读者哦。所以喜欢今天的节目吗？喜欢的话赶快按赞追踪我们的 YouTube 频道跟 Facebook page， 不要忘记开启小铃铛，掌握第一手的英文学习内容。
Yay! Yes, and that means it's the end of today's article, and we have our For You chat question. For today, it says, do you agree with the decision to change the words in Dahl's books? Why or why not?
Yeah, certainly do, because like kids, I wouldn't want my kids to be reading books that have negative words.
Yeah, or maybe like some of the words are like a little bit outdated, I would say, because remember the language and the way that he wrote the books was written in the 1940s. So some of the things that they said back then may not apply to our life
right
now. Yeah. So I think it's okay to change the word in his some of the words in his books, and they still have the original anyway. So if you're an adult and you want to reread the stories again, or if you're older and you understand why he chose to read those words and not get offended, then sure, you can go ahead and read it. But if you feel like, this is something that I don't want to see, like that's terrible, like I don't want to see these like bad negative words in there, then you can definitely get the changed one. So I think it's okay. But again, I think sometimes we also have to remember some books and stories were written many years ago, or like a couple of years ago. Times are different, so we can't always use our modern minds and to apply it onto people in the 1900s, for example.
Yes.
Everyone has like a different mindset according to which era you're in.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think everyone does agree that he does have wonderful stories, and they're so much fun to watch the movies. And yeah, I think I might reread the story again.
Me too. Now I'm reading all this.
Yeah.
Makes me want to read them again.
All right, so that's it for today. Let us know what you guys think about Roald Dahl and his life. But yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Complaint. When another worker was rude to Margaret in the meeting, she made a complaint to her boss. Racial. The school's white students caused racial problems when black students were first allowed to attend. Jungle. If we continue to cut down trees and hurt the environment, there soon won't be many jungles on Earth. Edition. The new edition of the author's old book has an extra chapter that tells us where the characters are today. Apologize. Winnie apologized to Bill for saying some mean things, but Bill didn't forgive her. Globally. McDonald's started with just one restaurant in California, but now you can find McDonald's restaurants globally.
智慧小补帖
Stereotype. Stereotype. Pygmy. Provoke. Animosity. Publisher. Controversial.